My name's Tom Carver, and for the last 10 years, I've been grinding at the lumber mill just outside of Ashwood, Ohio. It's not glamorous, splinters in your hands, sawdust in your lungs, but it pays for the split-level house, the 12-year-old pickup that groans in the cold, and the braces on my stepdaughter Ellie's teeth. I married Laura when Ellie was 6, a shy kid with pigtails and a stuffed turtle she carried everywhere. Her real dad? Long gone before she could say his name. I didn't step in because I'm some hero. I did it because Laura's laugh made my chest warm, and Ellie deserves someone to show up for her school plays. That's who I am. That's what I do. 2 months back, Ellie, now 16, got sick. Not a cold, something serious. Her kidneys were failing, doctors said, and she needed a procedure, maybe a transplant down the line. Insurance was a joke, covered the basics, but left us staring at a $40,000 bill. 40 grand. Might as well have been a rocket to Mars. But Ellie's family, so I did what I had to. I took every extra shift at the mill. 20 days straight, no days off, hauling logs, running the planer, my shoulders screaming, my knees buckling by the end. I'd come home at dawn, sleep 3 hours, and go back. My right foot started dragging too much time on uneven floors, but I kept going. Paid the hospital in full last week. On day 21, I stopped at the corner store with my last 15 bucks. Got a clearance vanilla cake, some mismatched candles, and a card with a cartoon dog. Thought we could celebrate Ellie's treatment starting, maybe smile for once. I limped through the door, plastic bag crinkling, and Laura was on the recliner, scrolling her tablet. She glanced up, saw the bag, and her face twisted like I'd brought home roadkill. "What's that supposed to fix, Tom?" she said, voice sharp as a blade. 10 years of you being a ghost? I stood there, foot throbbing, brain stuck. Before I could answer, she called out, "Ellie, come tell your stepdad what you think of his big gesture." Ellie shuffled in, phone in hand, looking at the floor. Laura nudged her. "Go on." Ellie sighed, barely meeting my eyes. "Mom says you're just a paycheck with boots." My chest tightened, but I forced a grin, set the cake on the counter, and walked to the garage. Sat on an old stool by my toolbox, staring at the concrete. 10 years, coaching Ellie's soccer team, fixing her bike, staying up late to quiz her on fractions, and I'm a paycheck with boots. I'm not a shouter. My dad was, and I swore I'd never be him, voice shaking the walls. But that night, something snapped, not loud, not angry, just quiet. Like a rope fraying for years finally giving way. I wasn't going to keep carrying their version of me. The morning after Laura called me a paycheck with boots, I didn't go to the mill. First time in 7 years I called in sick. My foot was still dragging, pain shooting up my calf, but it wasn't that. I needed to think, really think, away from the whine of saw blades and the weight of Laura's words. I sat in the garage, coffee going cold, replaying the last 10 years. I taught Ellie how to bait a hook at Lake Mercer. I built her a bookshelf when she got into those fantasy novels. I worked doubles so Laura could take night classes she never finished. And for what? To be a ghost in my own house? Laura left for her receptionist job at the dentist's office, and Ellie caught the bus to school. House empty, I started moving. Not packing planning. I drove to the bank, hands tied on the wheel. Opened a new account, one Laura couldn't touch. Called the mill's payroll office and rerouted my checks there. Left enough in our joint account for a month's worth of bills, mortgage, electric, water. Not a dime extra. I wasn't cutting them off, just drawing a line. Paycheck with boots? Fine. Boots walk. Next stop was a lawyer's office downtown. Not some fancy suit. Guy named Carl who advertised on bus benches. His waiting room smelled like old carpet, but he listened. I told him everything. Laura's words, Ellie's echo, the 40 grand I'd scraped together for her surgery. Carl leaned back, pen tapping his desk. "Document it all," he said. "Every bill you pay, every text, every fight." Ohio's a no-fault state, but judges like clarity. He suggested a journal, photos of the house, even recordings if it's legal. It is. I left with a handshake and a knot in my gut. Back home, I saw the house different. Laura's new leather couch, bought when I was working weekends. Ellie's high-end sneakers, stacked by the door, more than my work boots cost. The fridge full of takeout containers from nights I wasn't here. I started snapping pictures, nothing sneaky, just the truth. The joint account app showed charges, coffee shops, boutiques, a nail salon. While I was breaking my back for Ellie's kidneys, Laura was treating herself. For a week, I played normal. Went to the mill, limped through my shifts, came home to Laura's small talk and Ellie's silence. I cooked spaghetti, asked about school, got grunts in return. Laura didn't notice the bank switch yet. She ordered pizza one night, used her card without a hitch. But I saw her phone screen glow late at night, heard her voice drop when I walked by. "He's fine," she'd say, then change the subject. To who? I didn't know yet. I moved to the guest room, said my foot needed a harder mattress. Laura shrugged, maybe glad for the space. Ellie didn't ask why. I lay there at night, staring at the ceiling, thinking about the man I'd been. Steady Tom, reliable Tom, the guy who fixed leaks and paid up. But reliable don't mean respected. That cake was still in the fridge, uneaten, candles unlit. I stopped smiling to hide the hurt. If I was a paycheck, I'd be one that writes its own terms. A week after I moved to the guest room, the first crack showed up. Not in the house, in Laura. She came home from the grocery store, face red, slamming her purse on the counter. Her debit card got declined. 2 bags of groceries, and she had to leave them at the register. She called me at the mill, voice like a buzzsaw. Tom, what's going on with the bank? You messed something up. I was stacking lumber, sweat soaking my shirt. Don't know, I said, calm as I could. Call the bank. See what's what. She huffed and hung up. I knew what they'd tell her. No more automatic deposits to the joint account. My paychecks were safe in my new account, and the joint one had just enough for bills, not her usual splurges. When I got home, Laura was pacing the kitchen, phone still in hand. They said the account's low, she snapped. Where's your money going, Tom? You hiding something? I set my lunchbox down, looked her square in the eyes. Thought I was just a paycheck with boots. Paychecks don't talk much, do they? Her mouth opened, then closed, like a fish out of water. First time I ever saw her speechless. Ellie was in her room, headphones on, oblivious. I didn't push it with Laura that night. Just ate a sandwich, showered, and went to the guest room. But I started noticing things. A stack of overdue notices in the mail, cable, car payment, even the water bill I thought I'd covered. I checked the joint account online. Empty. The money I'd left for essentials? Gone. Not on utilities. Charges showed up at a spa, a clothing store, some wine bar downtown. While I was paying Ellie's hospital bills, Laura was living like we had cash to burn. I didn't yell. My dad's shouting matches taught me that noise don't fix nothing. Instead, I paid the water bill from my new account, set up auto payments for the rest. Then I got practical. Bought a small lockbox for my important papers, deed, truck title, Ellie's medical records. Stored it under the guest bed. Started keeping a notebook, like Carl the lawyer said. Wrote down dates, charges, Laura's words. Took more pictures, her new earrings, the fancy coffee maker she swore was a gift. Evidence, not revenge. I needed to see the truth clear. Laura tried playing nice the next day. Made pancakes, asked about my foot. I nodded, ate, kept quiet. Ellie came down, grabbed a plate, didn't look at either of us. I saw her phone buzz, Laura's name on the screen. Later, I found Ellie's backpack open in the hall. A receipt slipped out, $50 for a manicure, dated yesterday. Laura's card was declined, but she'd used Ellie's birthday cash. My stomach turned. She was pulling Ellie into her mess. By week's end, Laura's nice act faded. She started probing. You're acting weird, Tom. Something going on at work. I shrugged. Just working. She didn't like that. Kept asking about my checks, my hours. I gave her nothing. Ellie, though, she was watching. Caught her staring at me over dinner, not with anger, but something else. Confusion, maybe. Like she was trying to solve a puzzle. I wondered what Laura was feeding her when I wasn't around. That night, I found an old photo in the garage. Me, Laura, Ellie at a county fair, her turtle stuffed under her arm. We were smiling. I didn't know where that family went, but I wasn't ready to give up on it. Not yet. My foot ached as I climbed into bed, but the real pain was deeper. I wasn't just fighting Laura's lies. I was fighting for Ellie to see me, not the paycheck, not the boots, but the guy who'd always showed up. 3 weeks into sleeping in the guest room, the house felt like a stranger's. My foot still dragged, a dull ache that matched the one in my chest. Laura's card getting declined at the grocery store was just the start. She was starting to feel the squeeze. I kept my paychecks locked in my new account, paying only what kept the lights on and Ellie's medical bills covered. Mortgage, water, her dialysis appointments, those were mine. Laura's wine bar tabs? Not anymore. She didn't say much about it, but her eyes followed me like I was hiding gold bars in my work boots. One night, I came home from the mill, sawdust still clinging to my jeans, and found Laura at the kitchen table, bills spread out like a losing poker hand. She looked up, face tight. Tom, we're behind on the car payment. They're talking repossession. I leaned against the counter, sipping water to buy time. Thought you were handling that, I said. Her jaw clenched. I was, but things got tight. You know, with Ellie's stuff. Ellie's stuff. Funny how her spa days didn't make the list. I paid the car note from my account that night, but I added it to my notebook. Date, amount, her excuse. Carl the lawyer's words echoed. Document everything. Ellie was different now, quieter. She'd stopped echoing Laura's jabs, but she wasn't warming up either. I caught her watching me sometimes, like she was weighing something. At dinner, she'd answer my questions, school, friends, but it was like reading a script. One evening, I found her phone on the couch, screen still lit. A text from Laura. Tell Tom you need new shoes. He'll pay. My throat burned. Laura wasn't just using me, she was teaching Ellie to do it too. I took a picture of the text, added it to my evidence pile. Then the mail brought a gut punch. A letter from the hospital, saying Ellie's next treatment might not be covered unless we paid another 10 grand up front. I sat in the garage, letter in hand, staring at my toolbox. 10 grand. More shifts, more pain in my foot. But Ellie's life wasn't a question mark. I called the mill, begged for overtime. Foreman said he'd try, but hours were tight. I didn't tell Laura. She'd find out soon enough. Friday night, Laura tried a new tack. She cooked me loaf, my favorite, and put on that smile she used when we were dating. Tom, you've been so distant, she said, pouring me coffee. We're a team, right? Let's figure this out together. Ellie was upstairs, so it was just us. I chewed slowly, watching her. Figure what out? I asked. Her smile flickered. Money, bills, Ellie. It's hard on me, you know. I nodded, Said nothing. She pushed. Maybe we combine accounts again. Make it easier. I set my fork down. Easier for who, Laura? Paychecks don't grow legs unless someone's spinning them. Her face froze. Then she laughed. Brittle. You're paranoid. Later, I checked Ellie's backpack for her dialysis schedule. Found a notebook, not schoolwork. Pages of her handwriting, stuff about feeling trapped, hating how Laura talked about me, wishing she could fix it. One line hit hard. Tom's not my dad, but he's the only one here. I closed it, heart pounding. Ellie saw more than I thought. But why didn't she say it? Saturday, I drove Ellie to her appointment. Laura stayed home, said she had a headache. In the waiting room, Ellie fiddled with her turtle keychain, same turtle from when she was 6. You okay? I asked. She shrugged. Mom's mad all the time. Says you're shutting her out. I kept my voice steady. What do you think? She looked at me, eyes older than 16. I think she's scared. Scared. Not sorry. I nodded. Let it sit. Driving home, I decided something. Laura could play her games, but Ellie deserved better. I wasn't just fighting for me anymore. The hospital letter about Ellie's 10 grand treatment hung over me like a storm cloud. I was back at the lumber mill, pushing through regular shifts, but overtime was scarce. My foot dragged worse now. Doc said it was nerve damage from standing too long. Might need surgery if I didn't rest. Rest? With Ellie's kidneys failing and Laura burning through money like it grew on trees? No chance. I kept it from Laura, paid what I could from my new account, and prayed the hospital would work with me. Meanwhile, the house was a tightrope, and I was walking it blind. Laura's nice act was gone. She'd figured out I'd locked down my money, and her temper flared fast. One night, I came home to her rifling through my jacket pockets, looking for who knows what. Where's your check stub, Tom? She demanded, eyes wild. You're hiding something. I pulled my jacket back, kept my voice low. Hiding what, Laura? The fact I'm paying for Ellie's life while you're buying lattes. She flinched, then fired back. You think you're some saint? 10 years, and you're barely here. Ellie needs a dad, not a bank. I laughed, bitter. Funny, you called me a paycheck first. Ellie heard it all from the stairs. I saw her shadow, turtle keychain dangling from her hand. She didn't come down, just slipped back to her room. Later, I found a note on the kitchen counter, her handwriting. I'm sorry I said that stuff. I didn't mean it. My chest ached. Ellie was caught in Laura's web, but she was trying to claw out. I tucked the note in my lockbox, next to the bills and photos I'd been collecting for Carl the lawyer. Laura's spinning didn't stop. I got a call from the car dealership, another missed payment. I paid it, but not before checking the joint account history. More charges, a hair salon, a gym membership she never used, even a deposit on a cruise she hadn't mentioned. A cruise. While Ellie needed dialysis. I printed the statements, added them to my notebook. Carl's words rang loud, clarity for the judge. I wasn't planning divorce yet, but I needed options if Laura kept digging this hole. Friday, things cracked open. Ellie had a checkup, and Laura insisted on driving her. I was at the mill, but the hospital called me. Laura tried paying with a check that bounced. They needed $5 grand to keep Ellie's treatment on track. I left work early, wired the money from my account, and met them at the hospital. Laura was in the waiting room, face pale. Ellie was getting tests, so we were alone. Why didn't you tell me the account was dry? I asked. She crossed her arms. You're the one playing games, Tom. Cutting me off. I pulled out my phone, showed her the cruise deposit. This why you're broke? Her eyes widened, then narrowed. You're spying now? Before I could answer, Ellie came out, pale but steady. She looked between us, voice small. Can we just go home? In the truck. Nobody spoke. That night, Laura stayed in her room. I checked on Ellie, found her staring at her turtle keychain. Mom's lying, isn't she? She whispered. I sat on her bed, careful. She's scared, Ellie. Scared people do dumb things. She nodded, eyes wet. You're not leaving, right? I shook my head. Not leaving you. She hugged me, first time in years. It wasn't fixed, but it was something. Back in the guest room, I lay awake. Laura's lies were piling up, but Ellie's trust was worth more than revenge. I wasn't fighting to win, I was fighting to keep what mattered. The hospital's call about Ellie's bounce check lit a fuse in me, slow burning but real. I wasn't yelling, never been that guy, but I was done letting Laura skate by on excuses. My foot ached worse, a constant reminder of the 20-day grind I'd done for Ellie's kidneys, while Laura planned cruises and blamed me for her empty wallet. The house felt like a pressure cooker, and by midweek, it blew. Laura came home from the dentist's office, her usual smile replaced by a scowl. She tossed her keys on the counter, loud enough to make Ellie look up from her homework. Tom, we need to talk, she said, voice sharp. I was fixing a leaky faucet in the kitchen, wrench in hand. Talk then, I said, not looking up. She launched in, said I was controlling, hiding money, making her look bad in front of Ellie. You're tearing this family apart, she snapped. I tightened the faucet, set the wrench down, and turned to her. Tearing it apart? Laura, I paid $40 grand for Ellie's surgery. Just paid another $5 to keep her treatment going. What did you pay for? That cruise deposit. Her face went red, then white. Ellie's pencil stopped moving, her eyes flicking between us. Laura stammered, that's not fair. I was stressed, okay? I needed something for me. I pulled my phone out, showed her the bank statements I'd printed, gym memberships, salon visits, a new purse, all while the car payment lapsed. This is what you needed? I asked, voice steady. She grabbed the papers, hand shaking, then threw them on the floor. You're twisting everything. Ellie stood up, voice quiet but firm. Mom, stop. We both froze. She clutched her turtle keychain, eyes wet but steady. I saw the bills. I know what Tom's been paying. Why are you lying? Laura's mouth opened, but nothing came out. For the first time, I saw her cornered, no charm to hide behind. She tried anyway, turning to Ellie. Honey, he's making it sound worse. I'm trying to keep us together. Ellie shook her head. You told me Tom didn't care. But he's here. You're not. I didn't expect that. Neither did Laura. She sank into a chair, tears starting, but they weren't the real kind, not yet. I sent Ellie to her room, said we'd talk later. Alone with Laura, I laid it out. I'm not your bank anymore. You want this family? Act like it. Ellie's watching, and she's smarter than you think. Laura sobbed, said she didn't know how it got this bad, promised to change. I'd heard it before. Prove it, I said, and walked away. Next day, I took Ellie to dialysis. She was quiet, then asked, Are you and Mom splitting up? I gripped the wheel. Don't know yet, kid. But I'm not splitting from you. She nodded, fiddling with her keychain. At the hospital, she showed me a drawing in her notebook, a turtle with a toolbox, labeled Tom. I laughed, throat tight. That's me, huh? She smiled, first real one in months. Yeah, you fixed stuff. Back home, Laura was different, subdued. She cooked dinner, didn't ask for money. I found her phone left open, a text to her sister. I messed up bad. Tom's not the problem. I didn't know if it was real or another act, but I took a picture, added it to my notebook. Carl the lawyer had called, said if I wanted to push for separation, the evidence was solid. I wasn't ready. Not because of Laura, but Ellie. She needed stability, not a courtroom. That night, I sat in the garage, staring at that old fair photo of me, Laura, Ellie, smiling. I didn't want Laura's promises. I wanted Ellie to have a home where truth mattered. My foot throbbed, but I felt lighter. The fight wasn't over, but the fog was lifting. 6 weeks after Ellie called out Laura's lies, life's different, not perfect, but real. The house doesn't hum with tension anymore, though it's still got scars. My foot's no better. Doc says surgery's coming, but I'm holding off till Ellie's next treatment's paid. Those hospital bills keep coming, but I've got a system now. My account covers necessities, Ellie's care, nothing else. Laura's learning what a budget means, and I'm learning what it's like to breathe without carrying her weight. Laura didn't change overnight. After that kitchen showdown, she tried slipping back into old habits, little jabs about my hours, hints about needing cash. But Ellie's eyes were open now, and Laura knew it. One night, Ellie showed me her phone, text from Laura, asking her to talk Tom into paying for a new phone. Ellie didn't reply to her mom. Instead, she told me, I'm not her pawn anymore. That turtle drawing kid was growing up, seeing truth clearer than I ever did. Laura moved to her sister's place a month back. Not my choice, hers. Said she needed space to figure herself out. I didn't argue. The house is mine, bought before we met. So I changed the locks, packed her clothes and boxes, left them on the porch. She didn't fight it, just sent a text. I'll do better, Tom. For Ellie. I hope she means it. She sees Ellie every Sunday now, supervised by her sister. No more whispered lies. Ellie records their talks, just in case. Smart kid. Laura's working full-time at a car dealership, paying her own way for once. Last week, she paid half of Ellie's dialysis bill without me asking. Small step, but a step. Ellie's my anchor. Her kidneys are stable, Doc says, and she's back to sketching turtles and reading those thick fantasy books. We've got a routine. I drive her to treatment. She tells me about school, her friends, even a boy she likes. I tease her about it. She rolls her eyes, but she's smiling. We fixed the garage door together last weekend, her passing me tools like I used to do with my dad, minus the shouting. She asked about her real dad once, over burgers at the diner. Do you think he ever thinks about me? I told her the truth. Don't know, kid. But he's missing out on the best person I know. She didn't cry, just nodded, took a bite. Later, she left a new drawing on my toolbox, me and her, fishing at Lake Mercer, labeled family. I met someone, too. Not a big romance, slow, like a truck climbing a hill. Karen, works at the hardware store, always helped me find the right bolts for my projects. We started talking more after Laura left, just coffee at first. She's got a laugh like a summer breeze, no expectations, no checklist. Ellie met her last week, sized her up like a detective. After, she said, she's okay, Tom. But don't mess it up. Teenagers, man. Karen gets it, Ellie comes first. Always will. Financially, we're tight but steady. I'm back to regular shifts, no more killing myself for overtime. Ellie got a part-time job at the library, insists on buying her own sketch pads now. Says she wants to be like me, someone who shows up. Hits me hard, that. Carl the lawyer's on standby, but I'm not pushing for divorce yet. Laura's trying, and Ellie deserves a mom who's at least attempting to be honest. If Laura slips, I've got my notebook, photos, texts, enough to protect us. Yesterday was big. Ellie had a school art show, her turtle drawings up on display. I took the evening off, stood in the gym, watching her explain her work to teachers. She pointed at one, A turtle with a toolbox and a fishing rod. That's my dad, she said, loud enough for me to hear. Not stepdad. Dad. I looked away, pretended to scratch my eye. Driving home, she asked if it was okay she'd called me that. I said, kid, it's the best thing I've ever heard. Thanksgiving's next week. Ellie wants Laura to come, so we're hosting, me, Ellie, Laura, Karen, maybe Laura's sister. Awkward, sure, but it's for Ellie. My foot ache, the bills will wait. But sitting at that table, I'll know what I fought for. Not a perfect family, but a real one, built on truth instead of lies. I'm not just a paycheck with boots anymore. I'm Tom, Ellie's dad, and that's enough.